Hi everyone. This is a recipe I should have shared with you some time ago, because that was a few years ago when I worked for the company. We had an office in Trondheim, which is north of Norway, and we went to the restaurant, and the chef, under strict promise that I wouldn't tell who told me, shared with me with the recipe, because the soup was so fantastically tasty, and I said, I'm just not going anywhere until I know the recipe. At least give me some sort of bulk ingredients. So he did, and I've been making this soup for about now 6-7 years. Not often. You wouldn't want it often. I do it probably about 4 times a year, no more than that, but it's really tasty. It's quite high in calories, to be honest. It's quite intense, because it's got double cream in it and flour and butter. I'm gonna take you step by step, and hopefully if you like fish and you try it, you will like it too. Okay, keep watching. This is how it looks, soup I've just made. So I'm just gonna start from the start and tell you how I make it. It only takes about 15 minutes to cook. So it's enjoyable, fully bodied, very tasty fish-based dish, which is absolutely amazing, and it comes from Norway. What we do first is we prepare the base for the stock. Fish stock is kind of getting prepared there. So the first thing we do is we melt butter slowly. Don't put it on a very high, because it will burn, and just even bring it down a bit more, and slowly melt it until fully melted. And once it's melted, take it off the hob straight away. Into that melted butter we add 2.5 tablespoons of flour, plain flour, and mix it gently. Simmer it on you don't really need to simmer it, as long as it's mixed all together as consistent sort of mass. It's like a cream texture. So this is our foundation for the stock. And then once you've done it, don't fry it, have to take it off the hob. Step is you add on I actually put 3 Knorr cubes, fish cubes, for just over 4 cups of water. So it's kind of just over a liter, maybe a liter and 100 mils of the water mixed with fish stock. Is just bringing it to boil very slowly, so it's kind of consistent. We haven't got any little bits there, so it's just a straightforward fish stock, which goes into that mass, adds on together, mixed properly, and this will be our stock for soup before we put any other ingredients. We got two together, the fish stock and flour, which is mixed with melted butter. Next item is to go into the pot is half of fennel, which I get just standard fennel from Tesco or anywhere, and half of it is already gone into the pot. The next thing goes in the soup is medium to large size, just normally chopped potato, and you don't need more, because it's adding it's sort of additional ingredient. It's not the main one. The main ingredient is all the fish and mussels and prawns that goes into soup, but potato is just to add a little bit of texture to it. So don't put more than you have to. 1 potato. Carrot, just 1 medium sized carrot goes in. An ingredient, well, of course it's fish, but the main sort of seasoning for this soup is saffron. Saffron is absolutely necessary to give this richness of the taste, which incredibly enhances taste of fish and taste of stock. Stock is becoming incredibly tasty. You really don't need much. From this pack I will probably just use a third of it, if maybe quarter, but it will give this really interesting taste. Absolutely necessary ingredient. Definitely don't do it without it, because that will lose on the entire taste. I just put in a white part of the leek in there, just to start boiling, because it just takes longer for it normally than the green part. so I don't want it to be too hard. Next part is our fish. Once your potato and carrot and a white part of the leek has been boiled for about 5-6 minutes, then I'm adding in frozen, well, it was frozen, it's now defrosted, mix for fish pie mix basically, or any part of fish you would like to add. They're sort of adequately chopped. It's a mix of white and red fish, so that goes in. It doesn't take long, it takes about 5 minutes to boil. What goes in is prawns. I always buy tiger prawns or king prawns. They are much bigger and nicer. I've already put some in it, so this is the next ingredient for this fish soup. So you've got fish and prawns already in. It doesn't take long, it takes no more than 5 minutes for them to boil. So the next goes mussels and the rest of the leek for another probably 5 minutes, and it will goes double cream. I completely forgot about it. It doesn't matter when you add it on, it's already rich stock anyway, so it just goes for taste and texture. So double cream goes in. I don't add the whole thing as it says in the recipe. In the recipe I will just add about a third of it, so I have already actually put it on. So you can see the shrimps getting pink, fish is getting ready. It seems to be right texture, quite right attitude there, and this mate will go out very shortly. It just adding on its taste, and it's quite nice in color as well, and texture, as you can see. So I just need to add a couple of more ingredients and we will be done. Just got in is top part of the leek, which is kind of, because it's onion related, it still adds on value to the taste. It adds taste on to the soup, but it actually more for texture and color probably, because you can see color is getting quite pretty now. You've got carrots, you've got shrimps, pink shrimps, you've got fish of various white and red fish, and you've got green leek, so it kind of looks pretty and attractive, and I tell you, it is tasty. What I could have done at this stage, I could probably put a little bit more saffron. It depends on how strong you want flavor. It kind of enhances the flavor, so if you want stronger, you can put a bit more. This sort of yellowness is approximately right sort of level of yellowness for this soup, so saffron played its role in this soup, so that's probably about right. It looks quite successful to me. Ingredient, and the last one goes in. Those are few. I didn't want to put much in there. Sorry, it's my fingers there. Didn't want to put much. Those are frozen cooked mussels. I tend to buy freshly frozen. Those are just what I found in the freezer, but really is nice New Zealand green ones. They are really lovely in this dish. So I just add on a couple more. They make it a bit clunky. That soup makes really sort of sound tasty as well as looks tasty. So there we go. So bring it to the boil and switch off, and then when you serve it with a little bit of a double cream if you want, or sour cream, and parsley freshly chopped. Так вот наш норвежский суп. Richard.
Вкусно.
Вкусно. Сень.
Угу.